Hey, family. I'm Sharif Aman,
I'm Jenna Barbosa.
and this is Love Speak Revolution.
Love meets you where you're at.
Yes, it does.
We're so excited to be back with you with a special guest today.
Yeah.
Just a reminder, our mission here on this podcast is to just revolutionize the idea that you have to have it all together to experience Jesus's love.
Yeah.
No matter if you are a believer or not, we want to be able to really have real conversations to meet you where you are.
Yeah.
So we are excited that you're back with us.
Thank you.
And we are so excited that you
I am so pumped with our guest today, everybody. Please welcome Molly. Oh my gosh. How long I've met you no, I was going to say we've been working about 8 months, but I met you prior to that. Mm-hmm. So it's almost been
almost 2 years.
Almost 2 years.
It was in the summer. I know that for sure.
Yeah.
And you were referred to me by a client that I've continued to work with now for 3 years. And we took a little bit of a break and then jumped in fully in person. So yeah. It's been about 8 months. So we've been working together in person, doing your training and coaching, and all of that. And it's been awesome. So.
Yeah. It was, she's so amazing. And her daughter, Charlotte, is with us as well. I do not want to forget that. That is amazing. So I met her real quick, through a mutual client that she had. And I can't even describe to you how amazing the walk is. We have her on here because in our walks and in our conversations, we want to get healthy and be healthy. But I want to let you know, for me, where I was at, I was not really working out. I wasn't doing anything, and my life was really challenging on top of everything that I was dealing with mentally. I got in touch with Molly and started working out with her, but it was just I realized this wasn't a fad. This wasn't I wanted to lose some weight just to look good for some space. It was a life change for me. And we went about 4 or 5 months. I disappeared for about 6 months dealing with some mental stuff. And I had to make the choice to make a life change and went back to her. And it has been amazing for my nutrition, for the physical part of what I'm doing, and my life has just changed. So Molly, please take us down this road of your life.
Oh, wow. So, so I'm a personal trainer, and I do both combination of in-person and remote coaching for online clients who use my app, and then they kind of just get their workouts that way. We do a weekly one-on-one call, which is what we were trying to do with Sharif before, but he just really wasn't do you mind if I share?
Absolutely, share.
Okay.
Yeah.
So here,
this is real talk. This is real. Yeah.
Just not in the mental space to commit to showing up on your own without some of that, more accountability, in person, have an appointment, see face to face and show up.
Mm-hmm.
And then you were kind of just like you said, you disappeared for a while, and we had talked about it, and you were going to try to come back, and it just, you just could not make it happen until one day, all of a sudden it was hey, I want to come back. And I remember how nervous you were to reach back out to me, because you thought, oh, she's going to be so mad.
I did.
I totally just disappeared. And I was just I knew that you were hurting and what you were going through. And I was excited that you were ready. I could tell this time he was different.
Yeah.
It was very mentally, you could tell where you were at with it. So, he's been doing in person now for about 8 months. Mm-hmm. And just the journey that I've seen with him has been, at first it was okay, getting the workouts done and let's try some nutrition stuff. But it was really just kind of shifting one of those puzzle pieces at a time, just kind of started coming together, and how much more you were able to push yourself mentally and physically. And when you saw the weight on the bar going up, your confidence was just building and building.
Yeah.
And then you started realizing, oh, okay, if I want to continue this, I need to bring in the nutrition piece. And so then we started getting the nutrition puzzle, putting that together. And we're still going to like constantly be refining and perfecting that and improving it. But yeah, just kind of like seeing all of those dominoes kind of like fall into place for you has been really cool. So yeah, I've been doing coaching now for about 3.5 years. And started my personal journey because I was really going through something mentally. So I was sexually assaulted in a building downtown Portland. Just like in the middle of the day, just some guy just came and attacked me. And so then it kind of just like took me into like pretty dark space. And, I just needed something that made me feel stronger and, like mentally kind of like broke me out of that. I was also in a relationship that was like mentally and physically abusive at the same time. And so I think at first I was really just kind of like dealing with that assault that happened first off. And then from there, it was, I kept getting stronger and stronger physically. But what it really meant was, I can freaking do anything. Like if I can push myself this far and, the dedication and the commitment that it requires to do that and continually level up and improve and get stronger, then I can really do anything. And then I left that abusive relationship and have kind of just started my life all over again. So, yes. And it's just kind of interesting how parallel, working out can be in just like what you think of as, it's like a vain thing or it's all about how you look, but it's really all about how you feel and building that inner confidence and the strength to do whatever it is you need to do in life to keep going.
Yeah, that's so great. Like now it all makes sense because I always feel like I'm a mental basket case when I walk in. And you guys, Molly is so patient and so like, I always have this fear like she's, but she's always gentle and so patient with me. And so now it kind of like all makes sense because, you walk the walk so you can talk the talk, and you understand. She has a great capacity for just gentleness and humanity. And that was like one of the things that like, I knew that I had to go in, but there was a trust built, and now she has my complete trust. Like I listen to her, she pushes me. I don't even question her on the weights, and it's just because of like who she is, and she crushes me, and I like it. But it's just that like as we were talking about in other in a previous spot where we were talking about how like as a man I needed like a safe place to land, and so it's like I've found like a safe place to land in that, and it's just like so amazing. So Molly, you had said something about, I believe you said like you were talking about habits.
Yes. Yeah. So I think like really like the foundation of everything that I do and the things that I teach clients is all about building habits.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where, like we were talking about the other day along the lines of like, okay, I feel like I keep adding more and more on my plate and I feel like other things are maybe sliding off.
Yeah.
And I think what it comes down to is like, when you have a very solid foundation of habits, what you're actually able to do is like increase your capacity to take on more and more.
Yeah.
And what you do is you just find ways to become more and more efficient. So without letting the things that you're doing really well fall off.
Right.
You're adding new things on your plate, like with your nutrition piece of it, right? So it's like, okay, we're already getting the workouts done and we're being really consistent, 4 days a week, 2 days in person, 2 days at home. And now we don't want to let that fall off, but we need to add in meal prepping, meal planning, and, take that to the next level.
Yeah.
And what that does is it just frees up a lot of mental space for people to not have to make a lot of choices.
Right.
It just becomes automatic.
Yeah.
And so when you can make those small things that you have to do every single day become automated,
Yeah.
you now have more capacity to take on more things and to worry less and to
Yeah.
just get things done.
Yeah.
And I feel like as like an entrepreneur, a full-time working employee, you know, a single mom for 2 girls, I do have a lot on my plate. Plus I train for, you know, national level powerlifting competitions. And I just feel like the more I take on, the more I just refine my processes so that I can take on more and not let those other things fall by the wayside.
Right.
And it's just so like interesting how it's like, okay, well, you know, if you are getting all of these things, so we've got, you know, the workouts, we've got the nutrition. The next thing is adding, you know, if you're wanting to lose weight or just feel better and free up some more mental space, it's like getting your walks in daily, you know, go outside, get some fresh air, you know, kind of mental reset.
Yeah.
And also get your steps up. So now you're moving more and taking more frequent breaks and kind of just breaking that up. And that kind of helps, you know, with both the weight loss and then also more mental space
Yeah.
for yourself.
I like how you said when you load more on, the first thing that comes to me is, you know about me, I get overwhelmed
Yeah.
when I add something on, and then everything has a tendency, not everything, but I just get overwhelmed and I'll freeze.
Right.
When you were just talking about when you get more things because you're already in this system, like you know how to like lay it out. That is so critical because I think for me, it's the simple life change because I've never like really prepped consistently. So it's like staying consistent with that. And it's like a battle for me to be consistent. Like I may get it in that first week, but then it's like that next week, grocery store, get prep stuff, do what you need to do, and then have it be, you know, continue that. And that's the life change.
Yeah.
And learning to be consistent with, like I was said in my Instagram post, learning to be consistent with those things.
Right.
You're not inconsistent. I'm just consistent with the wrong things.
Yeah,
And
totally.
I need to switch my consistency.
Right.
And so that's just so amazing to see how you, like we were saying the other day, because I was like, what am I talking about? Here's an entrepreneur, power woman, you know, single mom in it with 2 kids. And I'm like, well, what am I complaining about? But it's just like, I'm thinking like, man, she's got this. She can do it. Then I know that it's just discipline.
Yeah.
Like I'm just having to be disciplined. And it's really is a challenge for me to keep nutrition, but I got to be honest, like we're doing this great thing and I've leveled up and she's pushing me and she's crushing me, but we know when I'm not doing what I need to do because my energy level is like boom. And then she'll know, like, how's your nutrition? And I'm like, you know, and it's just like, you get to this point to where you have to level up. Like I have to do better in my nutrition, you know?
Right.
And it's just, how important would you say that working out and nutrition is for like mental health, spiritual health, like all around, just quality of life?
I feel like for me personally, and every person's going to have a different feeling about it. One, I think if people don't enjoy working out, they just haven't found something that's for them. Because you can get healthy and move your body in so many different ways that you just need to be open to trying and finding something that truly works for you.
Yeah.
So whether that is strength training or running or rowing or just some yoga, or, you know, body weight only, HIIT workouts, kind of, there's so many different options, group fitness classes or doing it all by yourself. You have to find what is going to be sustainable and something that you want to do for a long time. So I think that that's the first thing. Yeah.
I feel like too, like you really were showing like the building blocks of how important those are.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people go into trying to do it all.
Yes.
Like, you know, the end, because you were saying like, okay, you build toward that. You know, you have the building blocks of these things. And then if you want to do these extra things, you build on that. And
Yeah.
like, well, let me do those things that get me that thing.
Right.
Without having the stability of the consistency of those building blocks that are foundational.
Totally.
And kind of really what I hear you saying is when you get really good and consistent with just core building blocks, then it's easy to adjust to more things coming on in life,
Mhm.
or to adding new things into the programming that you're doing to have more fun with it or
Yes.
reach new goals with it. But I think just so many people rush to the goal part of it that they haven't built that consistency of the building
Absolutely.
block side, and that's a big thing.
I think that is like, that's huge because the other part of that is like, okay, my goal, like maybe somebody's goal is to like lose X certain amount of number of weight. Okay, so what happens when you get there? Like, what is the benefit of that really to you? It's like a lot of times people set these very arbitrary, meaningless goals that they might feel like, mean something to them. Like, oh, I want to look this way or lose 10 pounds before vacation or whatever. And that's really, in the end, that's not what it's about. It's all about, it's kind of like an identity shift, like I'm a person who works out. I'm a person who like stays consistent with eating healthy and fueling my body to feel good. And it's not a zero sum game. It's not all or nothing. And when you hit this goal, you either like win or you lose, So it really is, like Sharif said, a lifestyle shift and an adjustment. And it's like, okay, let's not go into this going, I have to work out 5 days a week or I'm no good at this and I have to, and then they give up. It's like, okay, well, let's start with 2 days. Let's start with 3 days a week. And then, for 10 minutes a day, something very achievable and flexible. Like I could do that for, any 3 days during the week and I'm winning, something that can like give you that win. And then you can level up to like, like you said, add on to that. So now we're working out maybe for 30 minutes or we've added a fourth day or we've just added a simple walk into the middle of our day. Like that's kind of how you can slowly build that confidence into doing more and more into getting to where you want to go. And eventually you'll probably hit that, body weight goal, if that's what it is, or, being able to bench 225 or whatever it is that you want to achieve. You'll get there, but it's not like a race and people try to just get there so fast, see little to no results because maybe they're not doing it with a plan or they gave up too soon. So that's the challenge of that for sure.
Yeah.
Where would you, for people who are wanting to get started, who are new to the whole fitness industry,
Yeah.
nutrition, where would you encourage them to, like, how to get started?
Yeah, like we're talking about, I think it depends on what they enjoy doing.
Yeah.
So if it's, I've had a lot of people come to me because I have a private studio, and so they are like, I'm too embarrassed to work out in front of other people because I don't know what I'm doing. So I really like that this is like one-on-one in a private place. So that might make them feel more comfortable. So go with what makes you feel comfortable. Push yourself, challenge yourself, and get outside of your comfort zone by reaching out and taking that first step. But I think it needs to be small. Like, I think that people just don't want to start too big.
Right.
If you really push yourself too hard in the first month or 2 months, you might be so sore you can't walk and then you don't want to work out ever again, right? So that's not fun for anybody. I always suggest strength training because what that's going to do is it's going to build muscle. It's going to give your body shape. And overall, having more muscle on your body is going to allow you to burn more calories at rest. So even if your goal is fat loss or weight loss, you really do want to build some foundational strength. Plus just strength building, again, is like that thing that builds confidence and is really fun to like eventually you won't care about how much your body weighs. You care about how much can I lift. Which is a much cooler, much more empowering feeling, to be able to do that. But I'd say body weight only workouts are great. There's tons of free online programs that people offer. I usually even do a couple of times a year, like a 2 or 4 week program that has free workouts or just something to like kind of get people started and, get moving.
Yeah,
So
that's so good.
yeah.
Yeah, I know for me, I was that person that I was like in the gym, I was like, let me just follow just the up front by the door machines because they were accessible. You could look at the pictures, but I never really, and those are not bad by any means, but I was like, I felt like I was missing out on so much. and I was so like embarrassed to go to like the free weight room.
Oh, yeah.
So I hired a trainer and started getting into like really going on my own journey. But being able to go to her house was huge because I was able to, well, actually, no, I started with her at the gym, but even just having somebody walk me through
Oh,
what
yeah.
to do in a gym built my confidence. And then she actually went to an in-home business. And so I would go to her house too. But after that, I loved it because then that confidence was like I could go into any gym, go to the free weight room, not feel embarrassed, even if it was like filled with a bunch of dudes that were like racking it up. I was like, okay, like I know my little program, I can do that. And then I was finding myself being able to lift heavier than I thought I ever could.
Yeah.
And
Very
I was
cool.
like, oh my gosh, I'm kind of made up of more than I think so. And so that translated to life too, because I was like, hard things in life would come and I'd be like, I can lift heavy. I can do this. You know what I mean? Like it just was that translation that what you're seeing. And so from that receiving end too of that type of approach of, because I did strength training and started with a trainer and really built that confidence. And that it really does. Like when you start small, when you start with somebody who can help you, I think so many times we're just so afraid of ask for help and we're trying to do something that we need the help to do.
Right.
And we don't do it well. And we question ourselves why it doesn't work. You know what I
Right.
mean? So it's like just that humility point of being like, I don't know how to do this, so let me hire somebody who does.
Yeah.
And that really was a big catalyst for me to actually get into enjoying
That's
weight
awesome.
training and really wanting to push more towards that as opposed to looking at it as a big chore or a have to.
Right. Yeah. And I think that that's like the other thing is like it's a privilege to be able to work out, to be able to either afford a gym membership or to have equipment at home or to be able to afford a trainer. And it's a privilege to be able to like move your body and not everybody is capable of doing that. So
that's great.
yeah.
Yeah, that's really, really great. I've noticed that, like, I feel like I've just gotten the unicorn in a lot of things, just because I had like all those fears just as for me, and just coming into the situation. But I'm learning like every time that I go in that I have these counterfeit knowledge of what working out is, and she just is just like she chips away at it, every time, most of the time it's just in my own head is the war, like feeling like I've had a long day. Things like today we're shooting 6 hours a day and then I got to go, to another gig. And then after the gig, I got to go to the studio. So I'm not going to get home till like 11, right? My nutrition's in the bag. You'd be proud of me.
Oh, wow.
I pre-pack. But it's just kind of like in the mentality of, dang, I'm not going to be able to, will I be able to work out it if I don't? But it's just like, oh man, she's going to be so mad. But that's not the truth. The reality of it's just like hey, we get up, we figure out, we move around when this happens, your schedule shifts and changes, it's more like a journey. And I've just never kind of like been in this space of like a lot of the trainers that I've had have been really hardcore. And I've usually just like, man, I can't amount to this, what you're asking me to do, rather than like, cause it's harder to crawl in the trenches with somebody and be patient with somebody. I mean, I think that's what sets you apart from, I mean, I don't have trainers online, but from the trainers that I have and what I've seen and the expectations of a lot of people that I see is just like more of there's just like this community of it's a life change. It's about quality of life. It's about healthy body, stronger mind, and creating better, consistent habits in your world. And I think do you see that a lot in the fitness world as what you do? Do you see like other trainers like having that same mindset, or do you think like it's more?
I think I've been really fortunate to be around talented people who also like have like a very human side and like a realistic expectation of people. And like it's kind of different. So like if you're like a competitive athlete, of course there's going to be like a different expectation of you. Your coach is going to want to give you more the more that you put in. And so for me, like my coach knows that I put in everything that I have, and my training is like a priority, a top priority for me.
Yeah.
And all the coaches that I see like at the gym, if they're like, general population clients, they're not necessarily out there to like, be on the platform and to compete, then they're a little bit more lenient, but also like put that expectation on them. Like, hey, you want to achieve this. Like, how can I help you get there?
Yeah.
And as long as you're seeing that the client is willing to help themselves and to work through obstacles and to share with you and to be open and honest about what's going on, like we'll plan around some of your obstacles sometimes, like we'll talk through it, be like, okay, so like I can't do blah, blah, blah. I'm like, okay, well, why not? Right. And then we'll kind of deep dive into, okay, well, what can you do? Let's start there and then work around it. And I think that I like I said, locally here in Portland, I've been really lucky. Like the people that I know and that I know are coaches and like that kind of community, that's their mindset as well.
Yeah, that's so
help you work through it, and they're not like, you suck, like like
right.
no Jillian Michaels style coaching that I've ever seen in person. But I know that they're out there, and it just baffles me. It's like, what are you benefiting from? That you just look so mean. And
well, it almost gives trainers a kind of like a stigma because people like see that, and so people who don't want to try it out or don't hear these, like I love that we're like even kind of lifting that stigma up a little bit to where most trainers I think are just very real in humanity and compassionate. They're there to help and not get rich off of it or famous off of it, and like what is that, like drill sergeant style?
The Biggest Loser style.
Right.
And what's so interesting about that whole thing is like all of those people gained all of that weight back because like outside of that environment, what did they really learn? Like everything was so extreme in those situations, which is like why we want to just like refine and like keep, improving the process, because it's a lifelong process. We're not going to we're not going to cut out any food groups. No, like nothing is really ever off limits. It's just like, okay, if I want to have like a glass of wine or, some cookies or, some Easter treats yesterday, it's like, okay, how can I do that and still feel good the next day?
Right.
Without like going crazy or not eating breakfast or skipping dinner because I had this for lunch, nothing like crazy. It's just like, okay, let's just like enjoy these things in moderation and learn to do that. So that way it becomes like a whole lifestyle that that's what we're doing. With our food, it's like, okay, we need to have carbs. Like carbs are energy. So we need to have fat in our diet. Like we don't want to get rid of any of these things. And it's not sustainable long-term, which is why a lot of people who they'll go on keto, but once you get off of it, then what happens? So it's just kind of like that. That's why we want to learn how to balance and portion our food, like how to, enjoy these things and enjoy life without, making it all about, the food.
Yeah. And that's one of the things I'm learning so much from her, because she can tell you I had a wrong, I did not have a good, and I understood, but I didn't understand because of what I thought I knew and what I had learned and what I was being trained in was just not real. And so I stayed away from carbs. I stayed away from tons of other things, but I am struggling. And now I'm getting my nutrition back. Like I used to pack down with eggs and stuff like that, but it was the wrong thing. Like I just stopped because I was just like, I would have eggs in a waffle. Molly would look at me like, well, I mean, I understand that, but I was thinking that having all this stuff, I was trying to find somewhat energy. But then when I started doing what she said and the carb max out, I was like, oh, I've got energy, So it's like this new track of, and not to say that trainers out there don't tell you and they don't know how to be nutritionists, but I think it's just more of I want to show up, not because I'm trying to overcome my mind in a way that I'm such a bad thing or a wuss or something like that, but it's more so that's I can sit with her and talk about, she knows me now, and she knows if I'm off, and we can have a conversation about my mental and deep dive, and she'll go there with me because she knows it affects me in my workout and my nutrition and everything. So she's willing to walk that way with me. And I've never experienced that in a trainer before. And I mean that is like life to me. And I'm like, yes, I will make her a priority because she's a part of my journey of my life to get me where I need to do that, because it was such like a rare like gem to me, and I just like, it's, and all the trainers that I've known and a lot of things that I've done, it definitely like hasn't been that way. It's just been like,
I can tell.
"Deuce, come on,
Walks in and I'm like, okay, what's going on? Like, you're off today. Like, within 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Like, it's like the way, like, I can just tell.
Yeah.
You know?
He wears his heart on his
He
sleeve.
does.
Too. So it's hard to
Absolutely.
not.
Yeah.
Yeah. He does really wear his heart on his sleeve, because whenever you find something that's, just resting on him, it's heavy. And I think that that's a beauty too of physical fitness and having somebody to help you in that space, because it gives you like the endorphins and everything that happens in your body to help release some of that stuff.
Yeah.
You work it out, literally, not just work out, but you work the things out
Mm-hmm.
in a big
Yeah.
way.
Absolutely. I once had deadlifts are kind of like my favorite thing. Like, they're my jam. And I was just having like the worst week ever. And I went into the gym and I was just like lifting really heavy, and I was done. And I had like some back down sets, and my coach was like, oh, you can, do 1 or 2, heavy ones afterwards. And so I did. And then I ended up doing 20. And he was like, yeah, you looked like you were working something out. I'm just gonna let you have that. And I was like, yeah. But by the time I was done, I was just like, my head felt clear. Like, I could think more clearly. I just didn't have that like emotion just like sitting in here, with like, I had somewhere to put it. And that was productive.
Right.
And healthy. Yeah. So that sort of thing, like, it's always kind of just been a good outlet for me. I was in sports when I was younger, in high school, I did a lot of like track and cardio. Like, I was a runner, I did soccer, I was a cheerleader. So I did a lot of that kind of thing. And I was always like very aggressive cheerleader, like in tumbling and like, jumps and all that kind of stuff was like very much my thing, because it just kind of was that outlet for me.
Yeah.
Whereas like, cardio again kind of like gets those endorphins up, and you feel it that way, but it just never did for me what strength training has made me feel. So yeah,
that's
the power.
Yeah.
There's something about that power when you just feel it from your core. Like, it does. It just trickles.
Kind of addicting.
Yeah. When you feel a difference, like I feel a definite difference in my body. I used to have knee aches. Remember I was talking about my knee? My knees don't hurt anymore.
Your back?
My back. I was really nervous about my back, but like we've been pushing through. My back is getting strong. My whole physique is getting stronger. I'm still really hard on myself, and she's trying to work on that with me, but it's like I feel like really good and really solid, and it's like a journey.
Yeah,
I'm like, okay, I have to continue on this journey, and some days are, I want to be consistent, but it's just it'll be back at hand. It will be back at hand for me. Like, just a part of my life when I do, but I have to continue to work up, like keep working up to that point. Do you feel like you learn
when I'm coaching?
Well, yeah, or just in this field in general?
Oh,
like,
yeah. Learned a lot, like about people in general. I've learned a ton about myself just through my own strength journey. And yeah, I've learned something new all the time. Like, I have had different coaches, and I always learn from them, which I think is really great. So, like, find somebody that is really good at what they do, and then take all of the knowledge and information that I can and like kind of adapt some of their style that I love for my clients, and then leave what I don't love, or what works great for like gen population and what doesn't, what works for competitive athletes, because I do have both. And then the other fun thing is like, working with different coaches, you get to see those like different styles and stuff like that, So some of them are like very hands-on, some of them are hands-off. What I love about where I'm at right now is it's very much like a community of primarily very strong women.
Yeah.
And that's why I made the switch that I did in my personal coach, was because I wanted to be surrounded by other women in strength sports that are, at that high level.
Yeah.
And I've been very fortunate to find that locally here in Portland and to
That's so
be kind of like embraced by them.
Yeah.
So
That's really cool.
yeah, it is very cool.
I have a question that I'd love for you to speak into, kind of segueing with just women. I think that a lot of moms really struggle to put their health first because they have kids.
Oh yeah.
And you being a single mom of two, I mean, like, I love that Charlotte's here with us and it's just real life.
Yeah.
Real life.
So
Yeah.
many people think that you can't do the fun stuff like a podcast or a thing, like if you have a kid. And it's like, no, there's a reality to things, and we're all about real talk with this. And it's like, I just really kind of love that she's here,
Yeah.
and because I know personally, like, I have a good friend who's a single mom that just got fired because she was unreliable because she had to stay home with her kid being
That
sick.
is heartbreaking.
And
yeah.
she's the most reliable thing out there.
Yeah.
But just because she didn't have the support system to be able to
Yeah.
make that work, and it's just heartbreaking. And so, but I know that there's just that niche of single moms that really, and even moms that aren't single, they will definitely say like, well, I have kids. So they kind of, in a way, like, it's hard. Yes, I'm not negating that, but they kind of allow that to where they can hide behind that and really put themselves last.
Yeah.
And just continue to be drained. And so maybe as a single mom who does put yourself in a very high priority in that sense of your physical fitness and your health, just speak into that a little bit. Some of the challenges, some encouragement, kind of, what do you think?
Yeah. So I've been there for sure. So she was born, my youngest, she's 8. For example, today she didn't have school, which I didn't know until I tried to put her on the bus this morning. And I'm like, the bus is 10 minutes late. What's going on? Oh no, there's no school today. Awesome. Okay, it's in my calendar and I noticed that. So then we just were like, okay, plan B, I'm working from home today. And, so she's like hanging out and we're doing our thing together. I even took her out, like, okay, I can work remotely, very fortunately. So, after I got my workout done, we went to like an indoor play structure. She got to play inside. I got to do my work, and then we drove over here. So it's just kind of like, think on your feet a lot when you're a parent. But there's a lot of mom guilt that happens, or parental guilt of, like, if you're a dad even, of just like, well, I need to not spend time away from them. So I can't go for a run. I can't, get my workout done. I can't go to the gym. I can't, I don't want to make 2 meals. So I have to eat what my kids are going to eat. And so it's just a lot of that it feels heavy, and it feels it's like obstacle thinking, and it's very hard to get over it. But like you said, like, it is an easy, I don't want to say excuse, but like, it's a reason that people will put up like a wall. And it's like something behind that. There's some fear behind that, I think, is what it really is. It's like, if I do this, then my partner won't love me or appreciate me, or they'll think that I'm like taking too much time away from the family, or I want my kids to know that they're my only priority and that they're first. And then you're just like drained and drained and drained. You're so tired when you're when you're doing that, and you don't feel good. You don't feel sexy for your partner, and you don't have that intimacy because of that, because you're putting yourself last. You're too tired. You don't have the energy to chase your kids around at the playground. Like, I am the mom that always gets roped into being the chase monster. And like, like, I end up having like 6 kids that she's made friends with at the playground, that I'm now like the mom who's like running around chasing everybody, because I have the energy for it. And like, I make time to do things with them. But what that means is I have to be really dialed with my schedule. So typically my workouts are 5 a.m. Unless I'm on a work from home day and I happen to have time to either get it in my home gym, because I do have the very fortunate situation to have a home gym. And then if not, then I'll go into the gym and get coached by my coach, right? So I have a little bit more flexibility there during a school day, but it's like, okay, I just have to be very strategic about how am I going to get this done on every single day, and plan ahead. And when things come up, it's like, okay, like I don't have that obstacle thinking anymore. I very much am like used to like, okay, how are we going to go through and around this? And we're going to get everything done that needs to get done.
Right.
And if something needs to push, okay, like let's prioritize, and then we'll get those things done first. And then whatever's left over, we can do that.
Yeah.
But I think because I have that kind of like mentality, it's taken a long time to cultivate. First of all, it's like not like it just happened right away, but it was like, okay, like a little bit here and there. It was like, first I was just doing some HIIT workouts in my garage, body weight stuff only, going for runs. And when I just kind of like started getting back into that, and then I started like adding a little bit of weights and kettlebells into what I was doing, and then got back into some barbell training, which I had prior experience with. So I was very fortunate to already kind of know what to do. And then just went full on. So it was really like a slow evolution into it. But I think the biggest thing is like, figure out what's behind that fear of like holding you back from wanting to get that done, and like really dig in. And then find a way to like incorporate it, like you said, slowly, right? So like add 2, 3, 10-minute workouts in a day, and then slowly increase over time. And you'll just find that you feel better, you have more energy. And I think it's important for them to see, like, I don't want a life for them where their kids are their only purpose. It's like, I want them to see like, you know, a mom with ambition and like drive and energy and passion, and you know, who's like very honest, you know, about things. Yeah, absolutely.
The mom has her own studying, the parents, not just mom, but
Yeah.
when they have their own sense of self and their own life, and it's not just all about the kids, there's a lot of security that comes in a child's development to see that in their parents.
Yeah.
So that's, and the obstacle thinking that you're saying that that's not just see an obstacle and stop, but find your way around it and really see how you can maneuver intentionally to be able to put yourself as a priority for your kids, for you, and move around that.
Yeah. And it's all about like, okay, so I can't blah, 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 but okay, what can you do? And for me, that's like always what I kind of come back to when I find that I'm faced with something that's like really getting in my way. Or if I'm like finding that I'm like beating my head against the same wall over and over again, I'm like, okay, let's like move this wall and like figure out like what can we do to, you know, to overcome this thing. Or maybe we shift the goal. You know, so it's not like there's no all or nothing thinking that's going to help you get where you want to be. It's, you know.
And you're not a failure if you shift goals.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, well, I failed because I have to shift the goal.
Yeah.
Well, you're going to just keep yourself in that failed spot if you don't shift goals sometimes. And so that's a smart thinking for sure.
Yeah.
That's so great to even speak into, like even men, you know, because that is the obstacle, the feeling like they have, you know, feeling like they, in a sense, you know, breadwinner, or, and it's just the wrong thinking on any level. You're allowed to have space for yourself, but the challenge is, I believe, for myself, because I'm walking through right now having to schedule my life and, you know, just dial in my program. It's hard.
Yeah.
Keeping everything in here. And, you know, or just flying by the seat of my pants. No, making a schedule and then breaking everything down. It can be done, but it's just like the way that you think, right?
Yeah.
It's just like how you do that. It's like you're consistent with like bad habits, and you have to break that because, you know, you can't tell me there's somebody was saying, there was a guy saying something like, you know, people say they don't have the time, but if you give me your phone, I can show you how much time you know, your phone's telling you you've been on Instagram for 3.5 hours, or you've been on social media for 4 hours. He's like, that's 4 hours right there.
Right.
Or you've done this, or you've gone out and spent this. He's like, there's always time, but you just feel like, you know, so you're right. I like when you said you have to figure out what's the fear behind this. Like, do you feel like you're not going to accomplish it? Do you feel like you can't stay consistent with it? Do you feel like what's the fear? Like,
Yeah.
when you figure that out, I think like you can, when you're willing to surrender to it and say, hey, I'm willing to do whatever it takes, journey mindset, not goal mindset, not like in a year I'm going to be ripped, but like, no, like you can have like your little goals to gain, but then to be able to say, this is a journey and this is what I'm going to be doing for the rest of my life.
Right.
To stay healthy and to stay like, because it's good for my body to stay like in motion and rest and get great nutrition.
Right.
And mentally and spiritually be at a stronger place. Because I feel like when you work out and you're strong and then gets you stronger for moments with your kids, moments with your spouse, like those challenging moments, because you've worked out, you're stronger even mentally and spiritually to be able to deal with that instead of being exhausted and tired. And no, you're just stronger and you're like, you can think better. And so there's so much more to fitness than like scrolling and seeing like all these like fitness bodies, right?
Right.
That's
Those before and after pictures, like they don't show you all the stuff that happens in between.
Right.
It's like, you just see like, oh my gosh, like this guy got this fit in this day. And it's like, okay, a couple things like, what did he do to get that way in this amount of time? Like it was probably pretty extreme and unsustainable and unhealthy. Let's check in with him in 6 months.
right.
Like, but then the other part of it is like, okay, or if it did take a really long time, you're still only seeing like, oh, this was me 3 years ago, but there's like up and down. And we always think like, oh, it needs to be like so linear.
Yeah.
Like, progress is like this linear journey. And it's like, it is a mess. You guys. Like progress looks so different for everybody.
Up
And
and down,
and it's so easy to just get stuck in the thinking of like, oh, like that V-shred guy, like, oh, we're going to see like, okay, today. And then like, in 2 weeks from now, they're going to be looking like this. It's like so unrealistic.
Yeah.
It's not realistic. So
And probably like 5% of the population have the bandwidth to be able to like around the clock train and have that team of people like building those programs and that can do it in a hot minute. But that's like literally like 1 to 5% of the population.
Right.
So the rest of us are out here going, okay, we can't, what is that statement? You can't have like a $1 million budget on a dime or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. A champagne budget on like a beer, something like that. I know what you're saying. Yeah, it's so true. And it's like, just like taking it easy on yourself and like taking those baby steps to like start working towards something, tackling like what's behind the thing that holding me back, first of all, from getting what I want, what has and hasn't worked for me in the past. Why did it stop working for me? So like there's so much that like mentally people don't really take the time to dive into. And goal setting is like one of my favorite things to do with like a new client, because I love to figure out like why. Why do you want this? Why do you want to lose 5 pounds? Why do you want to, and like really get in deep. And sometimes, it's really just like, it's the last 5 pounds. Like, it's really like minor. And then we find out, well, really, I want to have like the energy to play with my kids. Like really it's about, that I have recently got diagnosed with, pre-diabetes. So something like that. And it's like, it's usually is something deeper, but you just have to keep asking, okay, but now, but why, okay, why this, why is that important to you? And like, once you figure that out, it's so easy to stick with the goal, and to set achievable little targets, keep moving that progress needle forward. But understand that it's gonna do this along the way, and it's gonna be messy, and you're gonna have things that you have to overcome. It's like just not perfect. And being willing to work through that and to like show, like, I think one of the things that's different about me is like I do show the messiness. Like if I'm having like a bad lifting week, like I'll post my fail videos, like, you see sometimes like, okay, that was a brutal session. Sometimes in the end, I get it together and sometimes I don't.
Yeah.
And I just like to be like so raw and honest and real with people about what it's really like, because like I don't want people to be like, oh, well, so and so never fails and like blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, they do.
Yeah, you just don't see it.
Yeah, it's like they're just not showing you what's really happening. And I think that that's so important to like being realistic
Yeah.
with life, you
Yeah.
know?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I love that.
So what would you, to wrap it up, like what, like you say this well. What am I trying to say?
What would be like a send off for our listeners to be able to really establish a set point from this conversation? Like if you could have them walk away with just one good solid concept from what you've experienced, your passion, what would that be?
Yeah, I would just say if you are wanting to get healthy in general, to start small and to build on that, and to not get overwhelmed with the overall end big picture. So, like starting with those couple of workouts and adding in a few walks and, getting enough protein and stuff in your diet regularly, and, portioning and eating your food healthy, but in moderation, without giving things up, and just know that it's such a journey and that there's no like one right way to do it. So find something that you love to do and start doing that for just a little bit at a time, and then just build.
I love that.
So
It's a good fresh reminder for me too.
Yeah, that's great. Well, Molly, thank you so much. And
Charlotte.
thank you so much for coming. You were great. Everybody, we hope that you got so much out of this.
Yeah.
I keep saying this, but I want to have her back. I already told her she's going to have her back. Maybe more in depth. We hope you all enjoyed it.
Yeah, like, share, subscribe, follow, all the good stuff to get the word out. Just all the nuggets of truth that are dropped here from our guests and from our conversations. We definitely want that to be shared. And also comment. We'd love to hear what your thoughts are.
Yeah. And if you want more information on how to connect with Molly, we're going to make sure that we have all that posted for you. You just need to go ahead and do that. You need her as your trainer. Trust. So thank you so much. This is Sharif Aman.
I'm Jenna Barbosa.
And this is Love Speak Revolution.
Love meets you where you're at.
It sure does. Take care, everybody.
Bye, guys.
Bye.